If you didn't see, on Friday, June 26th, Walt Disney Imagineering announced that they made a slight change to the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction over at Disneyland. The ride, which was down for a refurbishment for about 2 months, was using this refurbishment to update some lighting and rock work, but fans were quite surprised when they also announced a brand new animatronic in one of the opening scenes of the attraction. And let's just say it did not get the warmest welcome. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of Disney's most adored attractions, and is featured at 5 of the 6 Disney resorts around the world. The Disneyland one is especially revered as it is the last attraction that Walt Disney himself had a hand in creating, with the ride opening just a few months after his untimely passing. Because of this, people are very protective of this attraction. But with it opening in 1967, it has received some updates over the years, such as the addition of Jack Sparrow after the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean films in 2006, and the change of the redhead being auctioned off to becoming a pirate herself in 2017. People had mixed reactions about these changes when they happened, but over time they have been widely accepted. This new change, however, has received overwhelming criticism from both obsessive fans and the general public alike. Disney has decided to change one of the most iconic skeleton pirates at the beginning of the ride into a new living animatronic, and it just doesn't fit. Let's talk about what this new animatronic is and the technology behind it, what it does to the overall storyline of the attraction, and why people are not happy about it. Okay, first up, what is this new animatronic? Walt Disney Imagineering put out a video on June 26th showcasing their brand new creation. A pirate that picks up a piece of gold, ogles it, and then turns into a skeleton.
Animatronic figures are foundational to the Disney brand and how we tell our stories. And we started this effort as, what is that next level of our animatronic figures? So we've come up with this hybridized technology that combines a front projection with a partially mechanically articulated face, which together makes for these incredibly characterful faces. It opens up an entirely new creative toolbox to be able to tell our stories. We can now have characters cry and emote in ways they just haven't been able to before. Our pirate isn't a new character, he's actually the same character. We've seen him for the last 59 years, frozen in this moment of time as a skeleton. But now, using this new technology, we're able to tell his full story, the story that's been there all along, of him picking up the cursed gold and turning into a skeleton and dropping it and turning him back into a human. And it's this technology that's enabled us to tell that full story. Keep an eye out for this brand new magic next time you visit Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland.
Okay, I'll be honest, when I first saw the video, I was impressed. The animatronic is very fluid in his movements, from picking up the gold to having his life slip away as he turns into a skeleton. And to show us this change from human to skeleton, Imagineers use this cool new facial projection mapping technique to visually show us this transformation. Wait, didn't we all just collectively decide that projection mapped faces don't work? And didn't Disney actually just update Frozen Ever After over at Epcot to remove this technology? Okay, that's odd. The technology is pretty cool, and I get what they were trying to do here, as it is a great way to show a real human face being turned into a skeleton, but it just doesn't look real. The face is too bright, it just looks uncanny and cartoony. And let's be real, inevitably things break down, and when projection faces break down, there is no good B mode. But hey, at least the animatronic is very fluid and intentional in its movements, even if the projection mapped faces aren't everyone's favorites. It's literally the best and only way that you can showcase this transformation from human to skeleton and back, right? Well, that's not exactly true. 2 other versions of pirates around the world have similar effects, and they both look a heck of a lot better than what Imagineers came up with here. First, let's look at Disneyland Paris's projection mapped pirate. At the very end of the ride, Barbossa is an animatronic standing in a shipwreck as a human. But when lightning strikes, projection mapping transforms him into a skeleton for a second. The effect is simple yet very effective, and looks great without looking cheap. Next, let's look at what Shanghai Disneyland has in their version. They have a Jack Sparrow animatronic that switches between skeleton and human by using some form of Pepper's ghost effect. It looks similar to what Tokyo does in the Beauty and the Beast ride to transform the Beast into his human form, and it is insanely convincing. The fact that they have used these techniques in two sister attractions of the Disneyland Pirates of the Caribbean, but decided to go with the projection mapped face in the original, is baffling. Now, before I get into the next part, I want to give a shout out to my friend Matt Hyde. He recently made an Instagram post discussing some of the storytelling implications of this change, and I really liked his points. Some of the ideas that I'm going to talk about are inspired by his post, and some are my own observations. So, fans are not happy that Disney decided to bring back projection mapped faces, but that's not the only thing throwing people for a loop. It's also the placement of this new figure in the ride. Disney decided to replace the iconic skeleton sitting atop the pile of gold at the beginning of the ride with this new animatronic. You know the one of the most famous and iconic scenes in the whole ride, so famous that it even has its own Funko Pop, as well as a Hallmark ornament made after him. But it's not only the specific skeleton that was an odd choice, as let's be real, all of the skeletons in the beginning of the ride are loved, but it's the fact that they're implementing a moving human into a part of the storyline where there should be no moving humans. If you've ever paid attention while riding Pirates, you probably noticed that the first part of the ride takes you through some mysterious caverns where skeletons are frozen in time surrounded by their greedy desires. The second part of the ride is where we transport back in time to when the pirates were alive, and we get to see the shenanigans that they got up to. Even when the ride opened in 1967, the storyline was quite evident as it was told solely through us traveling through these scenes. The attraction doesn't tell you the story, it alludes to it, but it's so clear. In the first part of the ride, the skeletons being frozen in time told their story enough, and the ominous "dead men tell no tales" echoing through the caverns added just enough to the story without being too overbearing. However, Disney decided to add something in 2018 to help show the skeleton past into the human pirate present, and I gotta say, it was an incredible addition. It added just enough to help people follow the story, but it maintained the subtlety and calmness of the ride to not throw off the balance in the theming. If you've been on the ride in the last basically decade, you know what I'm talking about. It's the skeleton who is sitting in the swing, and as you pass by him, he magically turns human. But is this done with some insane projection mapping technology? No. In fact, all Disney had to do was install a mirror to accomplish this. It is actually the simplest trick that showcases so much. The mirror is placed in the middle of the set piece, and on one side it reflects the skeleton so it looks like a whole skeleton sitting in the swing. And then when you pass by, the middle point is where the mirror is hidden, and on the other side of the mirror, it reflects the human pirate so it looks like a whole pirate is sitting there, giving the illusion that the skeleton transformed into its human counterpart. The trick is insanely simple in its creation, but also insanely effective in its execution. This simple illusion helped showcase the transition from the skeleton past to the human pirate present, and it was placed at the exact moment when you switch from one to the next. Perfect, right? Well, this is where the next issue with this new animatronic comes in, because it is placed before this mirrored figure. It goes against all of the wonderful storytelling that is just told through these scenes. And it not only throws the pacing of the ride off, but it also throws the mysterious ambience of it off by being a moving, loud, goofy animatronic placed in what is supposed to be a quiet, still scene. As much as I like to trust Imagineers in creating new and immersive storytelling, it really feels like they dropped the ball on this. It is very reminiscent of the Hatbox Ghost being installed in the Magic Kingdom Haunted Mansion. Though the animatronic is very cool and a fan favorite, Imagineers decided to put him at the endless hallway at the beginning of the ride. It's a cool spot for him, but it goes against the whole story of the attraction. Ghosts are not seen until after Madame Leota's seance, where she awakens and brings forth the ghosts so that we can see them. Having the Hatbox Ghost placed where he is totally negates that story, and somewhat just ruins the aesthetic of the ride. I've been told that the Hatbox Ghost was placed here because it was easier to install him in this location as opposed to in the attic like where he is in Disneyland. And they decided that a Hatbox Ghost in a stupid spot was better than no Hatbox Ghost at all. Well, I've also heard that it's a similar scenario over in Pirates in Disneyland. Someone in the company pushed for them to have this new technology added to somewhere in the end of the ride, but the treasure scene was apparently prioritized because of technical reasons. They chose ease of installation over adhering to the proper story of Pirates, and they figured it was better to just show off this new technology somewhere in the ride than to just not have it in at all. And that's where people's next grievance with this new animatronic comes in. It really feels like this was forced into the attraction to show off new technology, compared to furthering or enhancing the actual story. It was a change just for change's sake, with no actual need for this change. I admire Imagineering for trying to push the envelope and always trying to plus the park. But I also believe it was a big misstep to include this new technology here. They should have implemented this in a different, more modern attraction. Modern tech just does not fit in with the classic Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Physical sets, practical effects and lighting, maybe even some Pepper's ghost effects, all help make this iconic ride what it is. It's built in realism, not cartoonish fun. Not that cartoonish fun is bad, but it just has its place, and it's not here. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is very cartoony, and it's wonderful. But Pirates of the Caribbean is supposed to be based in reality, and this facial projection mapping just really takes that away. Projection mapping definitely has its place in theme parks. Like I showed before, they used it wonderfully in the Pirates of the Caribbean and Disneyland Paris. It's fantastic on buildings and sets, like they show in their nighttime spectaculars like Happily Ever After, Enchantment, and Wondrous Journeys, or more recently, in the new Star Wars show Shadows of Memory, A Skywalker Saga in Galaxy's Edge. The projections on the rockwork behind the Millennium Falcon look absolutely incredible, and this technology flourishes here. When it's used for faces and facial features, not so much. As I said before, it just looks fake, cartoony, and uncanny. Two past Imagineers have some fantastic quotes that can apply directly to this situation. And it's something that I wish current Imagineers would go back and listen to. Alice Davis, the Imagineer who is the costume designer for such attractions as It's a Small World, Carousel of Progress, and the very Pirates ride that we are talking about, is connected with the quote, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And truer words have never been spoken. I get trying to enhance a storyline, but why mess with something that already portrays the message in as clear a way as possible? And Tony Baxter, the genius behind attractions like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Splash Mountain, and the Indiana Jones Adventure, always said that a refurbishment must make an attraction superior to the original, rather than it just be a lateral move or a downgrade. If you're gonna touch an attraction, you have to make it better than what it was before. And let's be real, in no way does this new animatronic make this ride any better than what it was. It is in best case scenario a lateral move across, but most of us do see this as a huge downgrade. It would be impossible for the Imagineers to ignore the negative feedback from this change. But I don't know what Imagineers are going to do about it. Do they stand by their guns and keep it as is with this new animatronic, knowing that they sullied a true Walt Disney classic attraction? Or do they admit defeat and switch it back to its original form in due time, pleasing the general fandom? Only time will tell. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, but now I want to know your thoughts. Are you a fan of this change, or do you wish they left the attraction as it was? And what about this technology? Do you like projection map faces, or do you think this is just technology that should not be used on faces, no matter what Imagineers do to try to improve this tech? Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation down in the comments. I want to know what you think about this new change. Thanks again for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like as it will really help the channel grow. And if you want more theme park and Disney content, please subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Canuck Park Hopper for more Disney and theme park fun. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.